Geobyte.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the GeoByte. In this video, we are going to discuss the most important problems in the strength of material under the concept of shear force and bending moments. These problems are equally important for both mechanical and civil students. My request is you please try to watch till the end of the information. Look at the very first problem. The very first problem is which of the following statements are correct? The first statement is shear force is usually associated with bending moment. Absolutely correct. The shear force is always associated with the bending moment. Look at the second statement. The shear force and bending moment, the shear force of the beam causes linear transverse displacement. No, the shear force always causing for the developing of shear stresses. Anyhow, second statement is not correct. Look at the third statement. The shear force causes shear stress on all the plane. The shear force causes shear stress on all the plane. No, on the entire plane the shear force is not causing for shear stress. Somewhere at the edges or at the extreme top and bottom the shear stress are zero. Anyhow, only first statement is correct. Second statement and third statement are not correct. Only first statement correct means option A is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the second problem. Look at the second problem. The ratio of reactions RA and RB of the simply supported beam shown in the given. Look at the diagram. The reaction at A is given as RA and the reaction at B is given as RB. You are asked to find the ratio between the RA and RB. For that, first let us find the RA, RB separately. RA, RB separately. For that, RA plus RB equal to sum of the reactions equal to sum of the actions 5 tons plus the actually this is the point load 3 tons. These two are point loads. 5 ton and 3 ton are the point loads plus UDL is there. This is the UDL. For getting the point load, multiply UDL with UDL distance. 2 tons per meter multiplied by 2. It is equal to 5 ton plus 3 ton plus 4 ton. It is equal to 12 ton. That is the RA plus RB. Now let us find the RA separately. For that, taking moments about B. With respect to B, RA is developing the clockwise moment. The moment due to RA is RA multiplied by the total distance. RA multiplied by total distance is 8. It must be equal to the 5 tons multiplied by up to distance b, 5 multiplied by up to distance b, 6 plus UDL. First to try to convert the UDL to point load by multiplying UDL with UDL distance. 2 multiplied by 2 gives the point load. Assume that point load is acting at the middle of the UDL into this distance will be equal to 3. This is the moment due to UDL. This is the moment due to 5 tons. One more moment is there due to 3 tons. Due to 3 tons point load, the moment equal to 3 tons multiplied by this distance. So 3 multiplied by 2. 3 multiplied by 2. Simplify this value. It is equal to 30 plus 12 plus 6 is equal to 48. Is equal to 48. Then RA equal to 48 by 8 equal to 6 tons. RA equal to 6 tons and RA plus RB is equal to 12 tons. Then what will be the RB? RB equal to 12 minus 12 ton minus 6 ton is equal to 6 ton. Here RA equal to 6 ton, RB equal to 6 ton. Therefore RA by RB is equal to 6 tons by 6 tons. It is equal to 1. This is the answer. RA by RB is equal to 6 tons. This is the answer. Look at the answer. Option D is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. It is very important problem. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. Consider the following statements regarding a simply supported beam subjected to a uniformly distributed load over its entire span. A simply supported beam is there. That beam is loaded with uniformly distributed like this. This is a simply supported beam loaded like this. Uniformly distributed load. Okay. The first statement, look at the first statement. The bending moment is maximum at the central position. Absolutely correct. So bending moment is maximum at the central position. First statement is correct. Second statement, the shear force is 0 at the central position. Absolutely correct. The maximum bending moment is occurring wherever the shear force is 0. Second statement also correct. Look at the third statement. The slope is maximum. The slope is maximum at the mid position. No, need not be maximum. Third statement is not correct. Only first statement and second statements are correct. Of these statements, 1, 2, 3 are correct. No. 1 and 2 are correct. Absolutely correct. First statement and second statement are absolutely correct. I hope you understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the problem. In the given figure, the maximum bending moment at the fixed end of the cantilever caused by the UDL is M. The maximum bending moment at the fixed location of the cantilever beam with UDL is given M. The bending moment at a section 1/5 from the free end. what will be the bending moment? What will be the bending moment in terms of the bending moment at the fixed end at a distance of L by 5. This is L by 5. L by 5 meters. Okay. First let us find the bending moment at the fixed end. Bending moment at the fixed end equal to bending moment at the fixed end. Let this is the A, B be the free end, C be the point at a distance of L by 5. Okay, bending moment at A equal to, first try to get the point load from the UDL. Multiply UDL with UDL distance gives the point load. Assume that point load is acting at the middle of the total distance. This distance will be equal to L by 2 into L by 2. It is equal to WL square by 2. That is the maximum bending moment occurs at the fixed end A. Now let us find the bending moment at a distance of L by 5. Bending moment at a distance of L by 5 from the free end B. Bending moment at C, bending moment at C at this location is equal to first UDL multiplied by UDL distance. UDL distance is L by 5. Once you get the point load from the UDL, here I got the point load from the UDL, the resultant point load. This resultant point load is obtained by multiplying UDL with UDL distance. Assume that resultant point load is acting at the middle of the BC. From that middle point to, this is the middle of the BC, from that middle point to C is L by 10. Half of that L by 5. You simplify this value for getting WL square by 50. You know, bending moment at A is WL square by 2. Bending moment at C is double L square by 50. Then bending moment at C by bending moment at A equal to WL square by 50 whole thing divided by WL square by 2. This WL square is cancelled. Finally it is 2 by 50 into 100 to get around 4%. Therefore, the bending moment at a distance of L by 5 is 4% of the bending moment at the fixed end. Therefore, option A is absolutely correct. Option A is absolutely correct. So, bending moment at C equal to 4% of the bending moment at the fixed end. I hope you clearly understood. This is very important problem. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the fifth problem. This is also very important problem. The shear force diagram for a simply supported beam of span L is given in the figure. The maximum bending moment is, look at the shear force diagram. Here the load at extreme left is, let that is A, W. Load extreme right side is, that is B, W. Then you are asked to find the maximum bending moment. That maximum bending moment, let this is the state C, state D. Bending moment at C equal to W into L1. Similarly, bending moment at D equal to this W multiplied by L2. W multiplied by L2. Since the relation between L1 and L2 is not given, remember, if L1 greater than L2, then I can say that bending moment at C is greater than bending moment at D. But look at the options. First option is WL by 2. It is not at all correct. Option B, W into L by 2 minus L1. No. Option C, WL1 is correct because WL2 is not given in the options. This value is not given in any option. Therefore, definitely option D is not correct. Option D is not correct. Therefore, option C is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. A beam of square section of side A is placed in the following way. In the case A, that is case 1, with the two sides are horizontal. Case 2, with a diagonal is horizontal. The ratio of the section modulus of the case 1 to that of case 2. You are asked to find the section modulus ratio between case 1 and case 2. When the two sides are horizontal, then the section modulus Z1 is equal to A cube by 6. Z is the section modulus for the case 1, I took as Z1. Similarly, with a diagonal horizontal, section modulus for the section 2 is A cube by 6 root 2. These formulas, you know it. Then section modulus in the case 1 divided by section modulus in the case 2 is equal to A cube by 6 divided by A cube by 6 root 2. Everything is cancelled. The root 2 go up. Therefore, root 2 is the absolutely correct answer. Look at the options. Option A, not correct. Option B, root 2, absolutely correct. I hope you understood. Option B is absolutely correct. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. The bending moment at A for the cantilever beam shown in figure will be, you are asked to decide bending moment at A at this location. The problem is given for cantilever beam. This is the fixture. This is subjected to one couple or one moment at the extreme free end and one point load at B at the middle of the beam. Now let us find the bending moment at A. Bending moment at A equal to, at the extreme right or extreme free end, moment is 4 tons, 4 ton meter, that is developing the anti-clockwise moment. If I take the anti-clockwise moment positive, I should take the clockwise moment negative. Then the bending moment due to 2 tons is this 2 tons multiplied by distance up to the A, because we are finding the bending moment at A, minus, that is developing the anti-clockwise moment, 2, that is developing the clockwise moment, 2t into 2 meters. It is developing the clockwise moment. Clockwise moment is taken as negative. Anti-clockwise moment we took as positive. No problem. it is equal to 4 ton meter minus 4 ton meter is equal to 0. That is how you can decide the bending moment at a fixed end. Then the answer D is absolutely correct. Answer D is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Here I took anti-clockwise moment. Anti-clockwise moment is positive. This is the anti-clockwise moment positive and clockwise moment is negative. Since the anti-clockwise clockwise moment value both are equal, therefore bending moment equal to 0 at the fixed end. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. For a beam of uniform strength, if its depth is maintained constant, then its width is proportional to. If depth is maintained constant, depth D is maintained constant. Then what is the relation between the breadth and bending moment? As we know, the bending equation is E by R equal to M by I equal to sigma B by Y. This is the bending equation, where E equal to Young's modulus, R equal to radius of curvature, M equal to bending moment, I equal to moment of inertia, sigma B equal to bending stress, Y equal to distance from neutral axis to outermost layer. Now let us take this relation M by I equal to sigma B by Y. M equal to, I can say I by Y into sigma B, where sigma B equal to bending stress. Generally, the term I by Y is taken as section modulus denoted by Z. Here, section modulus Z equal to I by Y. So, section modulus Z equal to I. The I equal to BDQ by 12 for a rectangular section. I equal to BDQ by 12 and Y equal to D by 2. Y equal to D by 2. You put that value Y equal to D by 2. Finally, it is BD square by 6. That is the Z value. So anyhow, bending moment M equal to I by Y I can write as Z into sigma B. M equal to Z equal to what? BD square by 6 multiplied by sigma B, that is bending stress. Now it is given that the depth is maintained constant. If depth is maintained constant, look at the relation between the bending moment and the breadth. So breadth is proportional to the bending moment to M. For the constant value of bending stress, and depth, bending moment is proportional to breadth, or breadth should be proportional to bending moment. Then let us go for the options. Options are bending moment, its will vary in proportional to bending moment. Absolutely correct. Option A is absolutely correct. The other options are not correct. This is not correct, this is not correct, this is not correct. Therefore option A is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. All the following are the assumptions in the theory of bending of beams except. That means some assumptions are given. All assumptions are correct except one assumption. Let us find that assumption which is not required for the theory of simple bending. Option A, material fails easily by shear. Yes. So option A is correct. That means this is not the assumption. This is not the assumptions for the theory of simple bending. Look at the other options. Material is isotropic. This is one of the assumptions. That is absolutely correct. Option C, Young's modulus is the same in both tension as well as compression. Absolutely correct. And material must be homogeneous. So anyhow, the second assumption is correct. Third assumption is correct. Fourth assumption also correct for deriving the bending equation. But the first assumption is not connected to the bending equation or theory of simple bending. Therefore, option A is the required option. I hope you clearly understood. Shall we move to the next problem? Yes. Before going to the next problem, look at the assumptions for theory of simple bending or bending equation. The very first assumption, the beam is initially straight. That means initially the beam is unloaded. Second assumption, the bending must be within the elastic limit. The bending must be within the temporary deformation. Next assumption, all the layers above the neutral axis are free to contract or expand. Of course, you can also say all the layers above the neutral axis and below the neutral axis are free to contract or expand. Remember, in case of simple bending, if the layers are bending above the neutral axis, if the layers are compressing above the neutral axis, extended below the neutral axis. That means above the neutral axis and below the neutral axis, the compression and extension are simultaneously taking place. Next assumption, the Young's modulus E remains constant in both compression zone and tension zone. Next assumption, the net resultant force on the neutral axis, NA means neutral axis, remains same. Next, radius of curvature is very large compared to the lateral dimensions. Radius of curvature R is very large compared to the lateral dimensions like breadth of the beam and depth of the beam. I can also write one more assumption. The beam is homogeneous and isotropic. The beam must be homogeneous and isotropic. Homogeneous beam means the beam is said to be homogeneous if it maintain same characteristics throughout the cross section of the beam. That is the homogeneous. Isotropic means if any beam is maintaining same elastic characteristics in all directions from a particular point, that kind of beam is called isotropic material. So the beam must be homogeneous and isotropic. Once again, homogeneous means the beam is said to be homogeneous if it is maintaining same constants or characteristics in the entire cross section. Whereas in the case of isotropic, the beam is said to be isotropic if it maintains same elastic characteristics in all directions from a particular point. So these are all the required assumptions for the theory of simple bending. In our problem, the one of the assumptions given in the problem is the material fails easily by shear. That is not the required assumption. This is not the required assumption for the theory of simple bending. Therefore, that is our answer, because he is asking the assumptions required except to. So, except that means not required assumption is material fails easily by sharing. I hope you clearly understood. Now let us move to the next problem. Look at the next problem. If the shear force at a section of a beam under bending is equal to 0, then the bending moment at that section. As we know, the maximum bending moment is occurring wherever the shear force is becoming 0. Therefore, option B is correct. He is asking to decide the bending moment at a section where the shear force is 0. Once again, if the shear force at a section of a beam under bending equal to 0, then the bending moment will be, remember, wherever the shear force is 0, there the chances of getting the bending moment is maximum. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. Look at the next problem. Look at the problem. The basic assumption of a plane section normal to the neutral axis before bending remain the plane and normal to the neutral axis after bending. That means the neutral axis does not go for deformation, leads to option A, uniform strain over the beam cross section. Absolutely correct. If you take the bending moment after the beam is bent, this may be the beam, this may be the neutral axis. All the layers above the neutral axis, for this case, all the layers above the neutral axis are getting compressed, and all the layers below the neutral axis are extended. This is the compression zone, this is the tension zone. Though some layers are extending and some other layers are contracting, here Young's modulus remains constant. Young's modulus remains constant and the strain also remaining constant. Strain also remaining constant. So let us go for the options once again. The basic assumption of a plane section normal to the neutral axis before bending remaining the plane and normal to the neutral axis after the bending leads to the uniform strain over the beam cross section. Absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. A propped cantilever beam of span L is loaded with uniformly distributed load of intensity W per unit length. Okay, all through the span, that means throughout the span. Bending moment at the fixed end is, let me draw the prop type cantilever beam. This is the fixed end. If I place the support at the other end, this is the propped cantilever beam. Given that throughout the length of the beam UDL is acting, that UDL magnitude may be W, which is in Newton per meter. and the length of the beam is L. Length of the beam is L. If I assume the A be the free end, B be the fixed end, the reaction at A is equal to 3WL by 8. That is the reaction at the propped end. You are asked to find the bending moment at the fixed location. At B, what will be the bending moment? For that, let us take a section XX at a distance of x from the end A, at a distance of x from the propped end A. Now let us find the bending moment at that section. Bending moment at that section, mx equal to let us take the anti-clockwise moments are positive, clockwise moments are negative. Reverse also you can take it. Then bending moment at a distance of x from the A is RA into x minus the W developing with respect to x. The W developing clockwise moment is taken as negative. UDL multiplied by UDL distance gives the point load. Once we get the point load from the UDL, the resultant point load, assume that resultant point load is acting in between the A and XX, that is x by 2. Point load multiplied by perpendicular distance. Here perpendicular distance is the distance from the middle of the AX to middle of the AXX to the XX, that is x by 2. It is equal to RA WL 1 minute. It is 3WL by 8 into x minus W into x square by 2. You are asked to find the bending moment at the fixed end. At fixed end, x becomes L. Therefore, m at a distance of L is equal to 3WL by 8 into L minus 1 minute minus W in place of this x. Put the L square by 2. Simplify this value. It is equal to 3WL square by 8 minus WL square by 2. Simplify this value. 3WL square minus 4WL square divided by 8. It is equal to WL square by, of course with negative sign, minus WL square by 8. That is the bending moment at a distance of x. But look at the options. Options are given without negative sign. It means he might be taken the clockwise moments positive, anti-clockwise moment negative. With this assumption, definitely you will get bending moment at a distance of L equal to WL square by 8. That is the bending moment at the fixed end. Look at the options. Option A, WL square by 8. A itself is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the 13th problem. A cantilever beam is shown in figure. This is the cantilever beam. The moment to be applied at free end for zero vertical deflection at that point. You know, because of this loading, because of this is a 9 kilonewtons. Because of the 9 kilonewtons load, the beam is going to deflect like this. The beam is going to deflect like this. The deflection at the free end I can mark as YB. As we know, when the cantilever beam is subjected to point load at its free end, the deflection at that free end YB equal to WL cube by 3EI. 3EI. This we study with the deflection of beams. You know, this is the deflection which is happening because of the point load at the free end. What he is asking is how much moment should be applied, in this direction to avoid the deflection, to have the vertical deflection 0. What will be the momentum should be applied at the free end. Now for that, assume m be the bending moment. Let us write like this. Let m equal to bending moment required at free end to have zero deflection. M be the bending moment required at free end to have zero deflection. Then the deflection due to bending moment. Deflection due to bending moment is equal to that is YB equal to ML square by 2EI. That is the deflection due to bending moment M. Here the deflection should be 0. That means you have to apply the bending moment such that deflection should be 0. This means this YB and this YB both are equal. Therefore, M into L square by 2EI must be equal to WL cube by 3EI. Now here EI will be cancelled, L square will be cancelled. Finally M by 2 is equal to WL by 3. From this, the bending moment required is equal to 2 by 3 into W into L. Look at the W value. W is given 9 kilonewton. The length is given 2 meters. So bending moment M equal to 2 by 3 into 9 multiplied by 2. This is 3 jar. Simplify this value. 3 2 jar 6 into 2 12. Since it is bending moment, kilonewton meter. So this much amount of bending moment should be applied at the free end to maintain zero deflection. Now let us go for the options. So in which direction 12 kilonewtons options are there? 2. 12 kilonewton clockwise, 12 kilonewton meter anti-clockwise. Look at the direction of bending moment required. The direction of the bending moment required is in the clockwise direction. that is 12 kilonewton meter in the clockwise. To avoid the vertical deflection, the bending moment required is 12 kilonewton meter, that too in the clockwise. Therefore, option C is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Shall we move to the next problem? Yes. Look at the next problem. The shear force along the beam will be, what is there in the beam? This is a kind of couple. The couple is developing the bending moment. Therefore, constant bending moment is developing throughout the length. Throughout the length of the beam, that is L, constant bending moment is developed because of the couple. Here bending moment is equal to constant. Then what will be the shear force? Shear force F equal to dm by dx. Since bending moment is remaining constant, differentiation of constant is 0. Therefore, 0 shear force is developed in the beam. Option C is absolutely correct. I hope you clearly understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the problem. In a beam of uniform strength. So to get the uniform strength or to maintain the uniform strength in the beam, remember the beam must be maintaining the same bending moment throughout its length. Look at the options. Moment of resistance is same throughout the length. Option B, flexural rigidity is same throughout the length. Option C, maximum fiber stress is the same throughout the length. Option D, bending moment is the same throughout the length. Yes, for having the uniform strength, for maintaining the uniform strength in the beam, the bending moment must be same throughout the length. Therefore, option D is absolutely correct. Look at the next option, next problem. Next problem is the shear force V and bending moment M are related by, this point already we discussed. Shear force V equal to dm by dx. That means rate of change of bending moment equal to shear force. Similarly, intensity of load W equal to dV by dx. The rate of change of shear force equal to intensity of load. The rate of change of bending moment is equal to the shear force. Therefore, option C is absolutely correct. Look at the problem. The bending moment diagram for case shown below will be shown in the option. Look at the diagram. It is the simply supported beam with 2 point loads with equal distance. Then I can say RA equal to W, RB also equal to W, because equal loads are acting with equal distance. Then bending moment at A equal to 0 and bending moment at B equal to 0. Bending moment at D is equal to RB into A, and bending moment at C equal to RA into A. But RB equal to RA, W into A, this one also equal to W into A. Bending moments are remaining same. At D and C, bending moments are remaining same at D and C. In between there is no loads. Since there is no loads in between, bending moment remains constant. In this region, bending moment M remains constant. With that information, you can select the option. Definitely A is correct. Absolutely A is correct. So bending moment at A and B0. Bending moment at C equal to bending moment at D. In between C and D there is no bending moment. Therefore, option A is absolutely correct. I hope you understood. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the next problem. System A is simply supported beam with a load P at midspan. System B is the same beam but the load is replaced by UDL of intensity P per meter length. The midspan deflection of the system B will be, the problem is like this. One beam with point load P, and the same beam with uniformly distributed load. This is the UDL, uniformly distributed load. This is the case A. Case B is asking vertical deflection in which case is more, or the midspan deflection of the system B. Remember, the midspan deflection, deflection is generally denoted by Y. For the case A at middle, case A at the middle is always more than the deflection in the B at the midspan. That means the midspan deflection due to UDL is less than the same beam with point load. Therefore, let us look the options. Be the same, no. Be less than that of B, less than that of system A at the midspan. Remember, this point is very important point. The deflection at the center of the simply supported beam with point load always more than the deflection at the midspan due to UDL in the same beam. Once again, let us take the two simply supported beams with equal lengths. One is with the point load at the center, other one is UDL at the throughout the length. Then the deflection at the middle with point load always more than that in the case of UDL. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. Let us go for the next problem. Look at the last problem. Two simply supported beams B1 and B2 have spans L and 2L. Let us take the two cases. This is the one simply supported beam of length L, other simply supported beam of length 2L. Okay. Next, the beam 1 has a cross section of 1 unit into 1 unit and beam 2 has cross section 2 unit into 2 unit. I can say that breadth equal to depth for the case 1, case 2. For case 1, breadth equal to depth equal to 1 unit. For the case 2, breadth equal to depth is equal to 2 units. Okay. These beams are subjected to concentrated loads W each at the central of the spans. For both cases, the load is acting at the center. Okay. The ratio of maximum flexural stress in these two beams. That means if I assume the bending stress for the first case is sigma 1, bending stress for the second case is sigma 2, you are asked to decide what is the value of sigma 1 by sigma 2, where sigma 1 equal to bending stress in the case 1, sigma 2 equal to bending stress in the case 2. First let us take the case 1. Here bending moment M equal to WL by 4. For this case also bending moment M equal to WL by 4. But in the first case W length is L only by 4. In the second case W into 2L by 4. Bending moment M equal to 2WL by 4. That is the bending moment in the second case. Right. Now the I equal to BD cube by 12. BD cube by 12. Here B equal to 1, D equal to 1, cube by 12. It is equal to 1 by 12. For this case, I equal to BD cube by 12. Formula remains same, but B equal to 2, D equal to 2, cube by 12. So I equal to 16 by 12. 16 by 12. Y equal to D by 2, 1 by 2. Here y equal to D by 2 equal to 2 by 2. 2 by 2, that is equal to 1. Now bending equation is M by I equal to sigma by Y is equal to E by R. Let us take this part. Let us take that part. From this bending stress sigma equal to M by I into Y. This is equal to M. M equal to how much? M equal to WL by 4. M equal to WL by 4. Y equal to Y. This is the Y value. Y equal to 1 by 2 divided by I. I equal to 1 by 12. I equal to 1 by 12. So finally the sigma 1, this is the sigma 1. Sigma 1 equal to 12 WL by 8. That is the sigma 1. Come to the sigma 2. Sigma 2 equal to M by I into Y. M equal to 2WL by 4. 2WL by 4 into Y. Y equal to 1 divided by I equal to 16 by 12. Simplify this value. For getting sigma 2 equal to, this 12 goes up. 12 into 2, 24 WL by 64. 16 4 there. Therefore sigma 1 by sigma 2 equal to 12 WL by 8 into 64 by 24 WL. Okay, this WL cancelled. WL cancelled. Okay, 12 2 times 8 2 ja 16, 16 4 ja 4. This is equal to 4. Therefore the answer is 4. Look at the options. Option A is absolutely correct. Option A is absolutely correct. So with these students, my dear friends, I am concluding this video. In the next video, we will discuss some more important problems. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Geobyte.